And our top story this hour, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence continues his tour of the Middle East. He arrived in the Jordanian capital Amman on Saturday night. He's been holding talks with the Jordanian King Abdullah. Earlier, protests broke out in Amman against the visit. It comes weeks after the decision by U.S. President Donald Trump to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Pence is a strong supporter of Trump's decision. He's also due in Israel to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, ahead of his trip to Jordan, Mike Pence met with the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi in Cairo. He's assured the president that Washington will continue to support a two-state solution for Israel and Palestine. The two leaders held talks at the weekend. Egypt is a key ally to the United States in the region, and experts say the U.S. vice president has been trying to ensure the country over last year's controversial decision to declare Jerusalem the capital of Israel, breaking decades of U.S. policy on the issue.
We heard President el-Sisi out. He said to me what he said publicly about a disagreement between friends over our decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. But I assured him that even as President Trump made that decision, a decision that I will reaffirm in Jordan and reaffirm in Israel before the end of this trip, that we'll also reaffirm what President Trump also said, that we're absolutely committed to preserving the status quo with regard to holy sites in Jerusalem, that we have come to no final resolution about boundaries or other issues that are to be negotiated between the parties. And if the parties agree, I reminded President el-Sisi that President Trump said that if the parties agree, we will support a two-state solution. My perception was that he was encouraged by that message.
Well, the visit by Mike Pence to the Middle East has been delayed for weeks. CGTN's Adel Mahrouky tells us, and the visit to Egypt has been a complex one given the current perceptions of the United States among Egyptians. Here's Adel.
Every American has been
Several delays to his Middle East trip schedule have not changed much. On the contrary, Mike Pence arrives following Washington's announcement of freezing aid to Palestinians, making the United States much less popular. Meanwhile, rejections from religious leaders to meet the U.S. vice president still stand, refusing Trump's recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. President el-Sisi, however, has not listened to regional calls asking him to turn his back to Pence.
I don't think there is any significance to that visit. Trump exposed the visit's intention with his Jerusalem decision, so the only thing there is room to discuss is bilateral relations. The Church and Al-Azhar rejection to meet him reflect the feelings among the majority of Egyptians, but on the official level, el-Sisi has to meet him to preserve decent diplomacy.
Pence and el-Sisi will discuss several issues. The Palestinian peace process and fighting terrorism tops their talks. But analysts are not expecting any significant outcomes from these talks.
The Arabs' position towards Jerusalem have already been announced and were firm in the Security Council and the UN General Assembly. They will not change, so there is no opportunity to show a different opinion during Pence's visit. He may discuss the American vision for peace, the deal of the century as they call it, but it's irrelevant. Everybody knows where they stand.
The U.S. Vice President hopes to resume efforts of reviving Palestinians' peace talks. But after Washington has sealed the fate of Jerusalem, analysts doubt that he'll be successful. Pence comes to the region among widespread disappointment on both the official and popular levels. He may be trying to mend ties and bring more Arab support to Trump's vision for peace in the region. But after a firm Arab rejection to Trump's Jerusalem decision, there are very little expectations out of Pence's visit to the Middle East this time. Adel, CGTN, Cairo.
And we can now cross over to Adel Mahrouky. He's joining me live from Cairo. Adel, can you give us more details on the talks held between Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and the U.S. Vice President?
Well, both have discussed the bilateral relations between the two countries. This was the main focus, actually, of the talks, through which there was a renewal of what both countries have seen as a normal strategic ties between the United States and Egypt. President el-Sisi stressed that the United States will remain a strategic partner to the North African country, and that this strategic relationship is one of the cornerstones for establishing and maintaining peace in the region. So the talks were more of that there is no alternative than to deepen and to keep this strong relations between the United States and Cairo, which something that Pence has reconfirmed. Also, they've talked about the economic bilateral relations and Egypt's progress in the past year, and the Egyptian plan in the coming to restructure its subsidy system and reform its economy so that it will be more open to foreign investments. They've also talked about combating terrorism, and of course Jerusalem was a no escape topic to be opened during the talks between el-Sisi and Pence.
Well, Adel, as we saw from your earlier report there, the popular opinion on the United States is at a very low point among Egyptians. What more can you tell us about that?
The United States has been losing immense popularity on the popular level. That has appeared for several years back when there was differences after Egypt ousted Islamist President Mohamed Morsi in 2013, and we've seen the White House administration led by Barack Obama started to cut its aid to Egypt. This has caused some fury, not just on the political or an official level, but also on the popular level as well. It has been amended a little bit when Trump came to power, but with the decision about Palestine and recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and also the U.S. Announcements that they cannot imagine a state of Israel without having the Western Wall as part of that capital, is what has shaken the grounds and have lost the United States a lot of popularity and confidence as well as a broker for peace. For long, the Arab Initiative has only been to maintain East Jerusalem as a capital of a Palestinian state, and this has been a popular demand. This is actually what President el-Sisi has stressed during his talks with Pence, is that it is part of the Palestinian right that Egypt and no other country will let go of, to have East Jerusalem as a capital. Now, the old city, which includes the Western Wall as well, is part of East Jerusalem as the current plan today. And this is a challenge about what will happen for a two-state solution, what borders were there to be accepted. But there is an agreement that the details of which, based on former United Nations Security Council resolution, will be based on negotiations between the Palestinians and the Israelis. Now, the efforts is to revive these talks, but there are many skepticism about the influence that the U.S. role will play in these revival of the talks, now that it has taken clear side with the Israelis' demands and a perspective from the Palestinian Authority and other Arab leaders as well.
All right, Adel Mahrouky joining us there from Cairo.